Let's move on to another big trend that is being driven in part by what is going on with AI, which is a lot of white-collar jobs may be going away. So put this up on the screen from the Wall Street Journal. Their headline here is "The Disappearing White-Collar Job, a once-in-a-generation convergence of tech and pressure to operate more efficiently has corporations saying many lost jobs may never return." So this is one of the other strange parts of our economy right now. While you have huge job demand for service sector workers, blue-collar workers in certain industries, especially in like warehousing, you also have had this tech session, which has really hit white-collar workers. And a lot of the companies that are laying off white-collar knowledge workers right now are saying, we don't have any plans to bring them back because our plan is instead to basically supplement our existing workforce with AI and make it so we don't have to hire back any of these workers. I mean, this is a dramatic turnaround from the way that the economy has been my entire lifetime, where it was, the service sector workers and the blue collar workers where there weren't enough jobs and, they were treated as disposable, et cetera. Now you have kind of a turnabout where it's a lot of white collar jobs that are being shed in this economy in this very uneven situation. They say the jobs lost in a months-long cascade of white-collar layoffs triggered by overhiring and rising interest rates might never return. Companies are rethinking the value of many white-collar roles in what some experts anticipate will be a permanent shift in labor demand that will disrupt the work life of millions of Americans whose jobs will be lost, diminished, or revamped through the use of artificial intelligence. A former chief digital officer at McDonald's and Volvo said, "We just need fewer people to do the same thing." They point in particular to Meta and IBM, among other corporations. The head of IBM said in recent weeks he could see 30% of IBM's roughly 26,000 non-customer-facing roles being replaced by automation or AI over a 5-year period. And for the year ending in March, the number of unemployed white-collar workers actually rose by roughly 150,000 people. So very different picture from other parts of the labor and job market.
Yeah, so here's what I generally think about this is that we are normalizing away from a very stupid period between the 1960s and that peaked in the 2010s of the office job. Now, all of the benefits of the office job had mostly gone away after the Great Recession, but a lot of the professional degrees, like the idea of just going to go work for a Fortune 500 company with some generic skills, still wasn't paying out, but was still genuinely attractive. Some of that is still the case, since we see that in the Ivy League and the university. But what the market is basically showing us, the employment and the job market generally, is if you have a skill, that is genuinely just going to work out for you in the long term. Because what do we learn from these, it is more like very basic jobs, is that even, people thought, oh, if I just get an accounting degree, I'll be able to do well. Well, what we see from the chart is actually accounting is going down pretty dramatically. A lot of that, software related. Also, whenever it comes to real estate, back-end real estate professionals, not saying that that can't be a skill that you hone and that there is, of course, local market arbitrage. But as we are really seeing, we're going, I think, more back to a skills-based economy. Now, that skill, though, is not the way that people used to say that in terms of, learn to code. It's be a plumber or be a coder or be a nurse or be a doctor, or even when you're a lawyer, like a niche type of lawyer. That's still a professional degree, but it's not like a generic marketing degree. The skill itself and your ability to dominate that niche or a very basic service, electrician, so much work in the trades is paying out in the long run and is also mostly non-automatable. And that is why, you can automation-proof yourself by having a skill which you can, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what will necessarily go away and what's not. And the easiest stuff, the stuff on the floor that you can just take away, like the IBMs and the Metas, is AI for the most generic of marketing skills, like writing copy taglines for a product. I mean, that's obviously something you can do on ChatGPT today. Why would you hire anybody to do that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of legal work is really sort of like cut and paste.
Yeah.
It's okay, especially if you're a corporate lawyer and you got to do the same basic filing for 100 different companies. You take the same format, you plug in the different company name, the different dollar amounts, whatever. That's going to be very easily automatable. Now, do you need a human being at the end of that to take a look, make sure nothing got screwed up?
Yeah,
Sure.
you do.
But do you need many fewer man hours to accomplish that same task? Absolutely. A lot of like basic bookkeeping and accounting work, same kind of deal. I'm doing my monologue today about how AI is already set to completely upend digital news. Just through the summaries that they're going to publish. And when you Google something, instead of getting a list of links, you get a summary of news articles. Are you going to click through to the links that are down below? Many people will not. And so that just completely upends the whole business model of digital news gathering. So a lot of these changes are already here. There's another piece too, though, which is that a lot of these tech companies got way over their skis during the pandemic, and they thought that the gold rush that was the pandemic for tech companies was going to last forever.
Yes.
So you had them staffing up in ways that ended up being, wildly unsustainable. And it's really wrong to do to the workers. They're like, oh, sorry, we've hired way too many people. Now you're unemployed. But, in case after case, so many of these tech companies really hired way too aggressively. And then when the economy, went back to more of a normal state and you no longer had people locked in their homes watching Netflix all day, then you had a return and a real reckoning here. So that's part of what is going on here too. But as we've talked about with AI before, part of what is unique is we're used to automation hitting service sector jobs. We're used to automation threatening blue collar work. Well, now AI is really coming for these white collar jobs. And so as we just laid out, some of this is not, in the future, 10 years down the road. Some of it is already here. And, obviously it's a negative anytime you're eliminating the need for human beings in, an economy where we really depend on having, being able to earn a wage in order to achieve any sort of basic middle class prosperity. But the other piece of this that, again, this is first time in my life that this has happened, you've actually had a reversal of inequality. You've had inequality going down for the first time in my entire life. I mean, from the neoliberal, starting really under Carter and then solidifying under Reagan and Clinton, during that era, you have just had more and more and more going to the top 10% of society in this gigantic hollowing out of the middle. Well, now with white collar work under threat, you're having the college wage premium go down.
Yep.
So that also is going to force a reckoning with how much these colleges are charging right now. You're going to have more people saying, like, this is not worth it. There's not a rainbow at the end of this. There's not a pot of gold, I guess, at the end of this college rainbow. So why am I doing this? So there's going to be a reckoning there. But it's also just remarkable to see that you are having this convergence and this lessening in inequality, which, again, is a dramatic turnaround from what we have seen in the entirety of my whole life. So that part, in a sense, is positive, but I want to see people doing better at the bottom end rather than people at the top end getting screwed is what you would ideally like to see happening here.
Exactly.
The last piece that I want to point to in terms of a very strange and uneven economy is that even as the labor market is really tight, even as you have very low unemployment, a lot of jobs, especially in certain sectors, you also have debt levels. Personal debt levels at record highs. Put this up on the screen from CNBC. Their headline is Consumer Debt Passes $17 trillion for the first time despite slide in mortgage demand. So what they're saying there is people aren't taking out new mortgages, which means that they're not adding that debt onto whatever they already have. But in spite of that, the total for borrowing across all categories hit $17.05 trillion, an increase of nearly $150 billion, or almost 1% during the January to March period. That took total indebtedness up about $2.9 trillion from pre-COVID periods ending in 2019. Delinquency rates have also increased for all debt, so people are struggling to be able to pay their credit card bill, pay their car loan, pay their mortgage, whatever it is. It's up 0.6 percentage points for credit cards, up 0.2 percentage points for auto loans, and total delinquency rates moved up 0.2 percentage points to 3%. Student loan debt also edging higher, and auto loans nudging up as well, they say. So you have a picture of American people who are really saddled and struggling under a huge debt burden. And I would say part of that is certainly, a lot of this is due to inflation, due to the fact that things have gotten so much more expensive and that it's so hard to obtain, to be able to make ends meet, to be able to obtain anything approaching like a middle class stability. that people are putting it on their credit cards and having to take out a lot of debt in order to be able to achieve that.
Yeah, exactly. So the corporate debt, the debt part is really bad. And then in terms of corporate America, where they stand and what they say, it's exactly the same thing. So it's a very odd situation that we're in right now. Put that up there on the screen, please. About corporate America. They say that a recession is already arrived. Obviously, we have the technical definition that we already reached, but they say Wall Street's already enduring what is the most prolonged corporate profits downturn in 7 years, which is a very easy kind of definition of recession. And when you can see prolonged downturn, after such a long period of time, 2015, 2016, combined with the interest rate cycle, it does take a genius to see where things are going and very likely to go for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So
So
it's a weird situation.
it's a real mixed bag out there for absolutely everyone, no matter what industry, no matter what part of the economy you're in. So we just wanted to take some time to sort through the trends as we see them now so we can keep an eye on them going forward. Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.